Mrs. Redding, what sort of sounds did you detect from this room?
The sounds we heard were those of a man's footsteps walking across the floor.
Right along this route
Right along
here.
this room.
Were you down below at the time when you heard these sounds?
Yes, I was sitting downstairs at my desk in the hall.
This is the master bedroom, and the sound of these footsteps were heard by you down below.
Yes.
How often did you hear these sounds?
I would say probably for about, 6 or 8 months.
At what periods of time?
Oh, perhaps a week and a half apart.
Then when you came upstairs, you found absolutely nothing here that you could attribute the sounds to?
No.
No earthly being?
No.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything about the windows that aroused your suspicion?
Yes, we found that the windows were open from time to time. And you'll notice that some of them have 3 bolts on them.
You mean they had the 3 bolts before they were opened?
2, and we decided finally that it might be wise to put additional bolts on.
You couldn't attribute it to the weather or wind or anything like that?
We discounted the possibility of wind, and you'll notice that the 1 bolt goes down into the casing of the window.
Did anybody mention to you that they had heard sounds like these, suspicious sounds, prior to your taking over the Whaley House?
A visitor to the house told us that 60 years ago she had been a guest of the Whaleys, and these noises bothered her and her family so that they moved.
That's remarkable. Now, the Parapsychology Foundation of San Diego has taken interest in these unusual sounds. Could you tell us what their findings have been?
They found that there are many impressions received here because, of course, this house has been so involved in history for many years that it seems to be very interesting to them.
I understand that Mrs. Kay Sterner of the local Parapsychology Foundation came to the house one night when it was closed and got some impressions. Could you tell us what she saw?
Mrs. Sterner was most anxious to tell me that she walked around the building when the shutters were closed and, of course, everything locked. And the first impression she received was that of a man hanging from a scaffold, approximately where the middle window is on the side of the house.
Why would she have gotten that impression?
Because at one time there was a man hanged on this property, the Yankee Jim Robinson.
How long ago was that?
Back in 1851.
For what sort of a crime?
It seems that the crime was the theft of a boat.
Had she been told about this in advance?
No, she didn't want any information at all about the house or the history of it or the people who lived in it.
What else did she see?
She also described a woman in a violet-colored or purple dress. She saw her looking out of one of the back windows, and she described her as being a medium blonde, and she said she was leaning way out one of the back windows, and it gave Mrs. Sterner rather a start.
And who could that have been?
It might very possibly have been Lillian Whaley, who was the occupant of the house until 1953.
What about that purple dress?
Oddly, at the time, I didn't realize that the mannequin that we have was
Which is right behind you here.
In a mauve-colored dress. But this was the dress, apparently, that she had seen.
Then later, that was yesterday, that she came into the house here and saw some other things, according to her claims.
When she came up here, she described a heavy-set man wearing boots and holding a whip, and he was stocky. She said he was very concerned over a decision that had been rendered in regard to a suit that had been tried here, and very concerned that he perhaps had not rendered the correct decision. And when she came downstairs, I had said nothing to her, but this very possibly could have been the business manager of Thomas Whaley, Mr. Augustus Ensworth.
It ties in with his description as you know it?
Very much so. He also had chin whiskers, and these, of course, there's a very good picture of him in Smythe's History of
She said that she saw a man with whiskers?
Yes.
How about his manner of walking? Did she mention anything about that?
She spoke up and asked me if he had trouble with one of his legs, his right leg. And oddly enough, what she didn't know and what I did know was that he had received an injury here on the property and had quite a problem with this leg, and that finally resulted in his death.
Would you say that all these things prove that there are ghosts in the Whaley house?
There may be. Very well may be.